Welcome, everyone, to the Divas That Care Network. I'm Amy McKenzie, and today's show is The Wow of Women, where we feature the remarkable journeys of women whose powerful and extraordinary choices positively impact people's lives on a daily basis. Prepare to be inspired. Today's guest, Sherri Neidenberger, comes to us from Washington State. Here's a woman who's had a business of her own, been a mom, now a grandmother, has a family, been married happily for 33 years, and one day decided she wanted to go back to school. This story is going to inspire anyone who's ever said, "Oh, it's too late for me." Sherri, it is such a pleasure to have you on the call. Thank you so much for joining our show today.
Thank you for having me, Amy.
Oh, it's a pleasure. So I want you to kind of take us through the numbers. There you were. You've raised your children, and you start having an inkling. Now, just going back to fill in a little bit, I know when you were first looking at college, you kind of circled something in every category, looking to see what you were passionate about. Ended up in kind of an accounting business format. So coming back, wanting to continue your education after raising your children, you started with, I think, a couple online classes that you were going to take in accounting. Is that right? Pick us up from there, if you would, and share your story the day you decide to go back to school part-time online.
Yeah, so I was sitting in my house, and I thought, I could be doing something so much more productive. And I thought, I've always wanted to get my degree. So I thought, well, I've already got my bookkeeping certification, and I'll just sign up for a couple of online classes, easy peasy, go to, sit at my desk and do my homework and work on getting my degree. And my husband came home from work. I had already enrolled in a couple of classes, and he came home from work, and he told me, he said, "Hey, they were talking at work today, and they're going to be doing a mechatronics program at the community college, and Boeing, which is who he works for, is planning to hire students right out of this program, and you might be interested and want to check it out." And so I'm like, "Well, what's mechatronics?" And so he kind of explained it to me, and I don't really remember at this point what it is, but
right.
I said, "Well, yeah, I'll go check it out. It sounds really interesting." And so I made an appointment with an advisor at the community college, and I went in and said, my husband's telling me about this mechatronics program. I'm already enrolled in accounting, and, I just thought I'd come in and see what it's about. So we started chatting, and she found out a little bit more about me, and she said, "I have the perfect thing for you, CAD design." And I'm like,
and that's CAD,
oh.
like AutoCAD.
AutoCAD, yes.
Okay.
Computer-aided design is what it stands for. And I said,
different than accounting.
Yes, a lot different than accounting. And I'm like,
okay.
Well, that really does sound interesting. I think I might like that. And she says, "Okay, well, let's get you going." And she dropped me out of my online classes, scheduled me for a full online or full on-campus class load, and said, "Okay, you start in 5 days. You need to go get your books, get your parking, figure out where you got to go." And I'm like, okay. So I'm now running around like a crazy woman trying to get this all put together. And I come home and I told my husband what I've done, and he goes, "Wow, okay." So we're all just kind of sitting there in shock of what's about to take place. And I'm like, "Well, all right, I'm up for it. So let's do it." And I got in there and I got started, and I was just scared to death.
I'll bet. Let me interject here now. Let's tell our listeners, how long had it been for you since you had attended a class?
It had been around 30 years.
Wow.
And I'm definitely not a spring chicken. I was in my early 50s. And here I am completely reinventing myself, more so than I really ever expected. I mean, when I started this, I had absolutely no clue where it was going to take me. And
but you were
even in
open
that,
and willing.
I was open for it. Yeah, I really was.
Yep.
And people kept asking me, "Well, what are you going to do with your degree?" And I said, "I have absolutely no idea."
Right. You were just pushing your envelope.
I was greatly pushing my envelope, and I did not know where it was going to lead me, but I thought, well, this seems like a fun ride. I'll stay on it.
Good for you. Now tell me a little bit about how that went for you. So you're in school. You're not expecting, going back, you had shared earlier with me that, in previous years, in the early days in school, if you were interested in something, you did great. But if you weren't, you didn't really pay much attention and you got by.
I
here you are
did
now coming back 30 years later.
Right.
What have you done?
So I went from not really caring that much about my grades to, I set the goal for myself. I wanted a 4.0. And it helped keep me motivated. It was okay if I didn't make it, but I wanted something that I could shoot for, something that would show the effort that I was putting out. And I think the teachers saw it, the faculty saw it, the other students saw it, and I was like in the very front of the classroom for any class that I was in. I was like, it was like they were teaching directly to me because I was the one asking all the questions. And I drove my teachers crazy because, it was, well, why is it like that? Why does it do that? But they actually enjoyed it too because they saw that I was very engaged, and it was really important to me that I was there to learn, not just receive a grade. I wanted to actually come away knowing something new.
And what were the results of all that effort, Sherri?
Well, they were unbelievable. First off, I got invited to join the Phi Theta Kappa Honor Society.
Wow.
That was within my first 2 quarters. Then I was invited to join. My advisor actually was part of the club of women in advanced manufacturing, and I was voted the treasurer in the club. And then I joined another club at school called the AmTech Club, which encompasses all the different things that are going on within the AmTech group. And
AmTech is what exactly?
It's advanced manufacturing training and education, and they have welders, people doing composites, machining, the CAD design, robotics, the mechatronics, all of it. And so within the AmTech Club, there was a section from each group, and then we would work together to do different things. People would bring in jobs that they would want done, and, if it needed designed, the technical engineering would do it. If it needed welded, the welders would do it, and so on. and I was chairperson for the technical engineering group in that.
Wow, terrific.
And then I was nominated for the Women in Leadership, which came very unexpected.
Wow.
And we got to meet with the mayor of Everett, just our group and her, and we got a one-on-one chat session with her, and we had several meetings that were just really awe-inspiring. Because manufacturing is not really a woman's field per se, and so they really went out of their way to encourage us as women in a predominantly male field.
Yeah, that's terrific.
Although
that's inspiring.
there are a lot
Very
more
inspiring.
women in it now. And then from there, towards the end of my program, I was awarded Outstanding Graduate. And
my goodness.
Yeah. It was, if you looked at my life from high school and you look at it from college, it's like two totally different people. It's such a night and day difference. But it was.
What's interesting, if I can interject, is
Sure.
that most people, many might be afraid to go back, thinking it would be quite the reverse. And here you are demonstrating that when you get, some clarity and some wisdom, some experience under your belt, it can really serve you, even if you weren't necessarily even clear going into it. It sounds like as you've gone through the process, your pathway has become clear, and you are, in many ways, really, out there with the machete in the jungle, so to speak, clearing a path for others as you go.
Oh, absolutely. One of the really big things that happened was Boeing did a pilot internship in their engineering department for NC programmers. And so they took what they considered to be the cream of the crop from 5 schools to come in and test run this internship. And I was chosen for that, and I was kind of intimidated by a big company like that. And I got in there and was just amazed how, for such a big company, that it felt small in the areas that you're in. Like each department's its own little family, and so it kind of changed my attitude even about working for a big company. And they were so pleased with how the internship went that they are now doing a full-scaled internship, which I've been invited back to, and start in a week. Thank you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it, and so that's kind of it's like, I go to school and you hear so many stories about people getting out of school and then they don't have anywhere to go. And
right.
And who's going to hire me? And with my age, I was like, I've got gray hair, should I be dyeing my hair? And the job lady at the job lady at the school, she told me, she said, "Oh, honey, no, they want people your age." And I said, "Really?" And I said, "They're not going to look at me and think, oh, we don't want you, you're going to be retiring in 7 or 8 years." And she said, "Oh, no, they want you." And I was just dumbfounded by that.
Wow.
So,
yeah, I am too. That's a very big change in our culture, if that's true, and that's terrific news for those, in a more advanced age range out there considering what you've already taken on. So that, again, very inspiring,
yeah.
Sherri.
Thank you. And I had so much fun getting my associate's degree that I decided I wanted to go on and get my bachelor's.
Good for
And
you.
so, and then I hit another hiccup in the road because the only thing that my degree would transfer into was business administration or cybersecurity. And
Wow.
I was like, okay, well, those are two really very different things.
Yeah, they really are,
And
aren't they?
extremely different from what I just got my degree in. So what do I do with this?
Right.
And so I thought about it, and I thought, well, in my whole life I've done business stuff, administrative assistant, office manager, business owner, all that. I thought, I want something different. So I decided to go down the cybersecurity track, and wow, is that interesting?
Really?
And
You're loving it?
I am absolutely loving it. And this portion of my track is online. I'm going to Central Washington University. And that's kind of the neat thing is you get through your associate's degree, and many of the bachelor's degrees now are online. So you don't have to go right out or you don't have to worry about going out and getting a job. You can still work on your next degree and not have to worry about it conflicting with your work schedule and stuff,
Right.
which is, kind of what I plan on doing is working and doing this and maybe even going on for my master's and maybe a PhD or two.
That's incredible. A PhD or two. I love the way you think. My goodness. Now, you've also, won quite a few awards in this process. I mean, you didn't just go back to school. You knocked it out of the park.
I
Truly.
did. And it still surprises me because and I attribute that a lot to the people at the school were fabulous, and the dean she saw something in me and really wanted to help move me along. And so she had a lot to do with a lot of these awards that I got. And one of my other teachers, I had a business communications teacher that she was the one that had nominated me for the Women in Leadership. And she was a really neat lady too. So, it was like, I think that a lot of it was that my enthusiasm was contagious, and they saw how invested I was, and I think that is what made a big difference for me and how I got to where I am within the school. They even actually hired me as it started out as a teaching assistant, and then this last quarter they hired me to teach. And so I taught my first quarter over the spring.
Wow.
So.
That's incredible. Having just gotten your associate's degree, and here you are on track with Boeing. What an incredible story, and I love your input about one, giving credit to the academic or the teachers, professors, the deans that contributed to your journey, but also recognizing and acknowledging your attitude and your passion is what really inspired people to go an extra mile with you because they're matching your pace. And what we bring to the table does matter. You really are a wonderful example of that. And honestly, I would say that, the promise of this show was people who think it's too late might learn something different. And boy, you once again knock it out of the park when it comes to really encouraging someone to keep going. With that, I'm just going to ask you, is there any last parting wisdom that you would like to share with our guests tonight?
Well, I would say never give up on the things that you want, or even the things that you think you might want. It's only out of reach if you make it that way. And I've learned over my life that if you want something bad enough, you can find a way to make it happen. And sometimes it takes a lot of hard work to get there, and sometimes it's more work than you expected. But, just keep plugging away at it. And, you're never, ever too old to do things. My mom was one that was always telling me that, don't ever say that you can't do something. And I took it a bit farther and said, it's not that you can't do something, it's that you've not tried to do it yet. And, you just have to keep your mind open. Don't say, I can't do something. You may not want to do it, and that's something very, very different. But you can always try to do something and keep yourself moving forward. And, today's 50 is the new 30, or, whatever they say. And 10 years from now, the 50 might be the new 20. So, it doesn't matter how old you are or where you're at in your life, just keep moving forward.
That's beautiful. And as you said so eloquently to me, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, will still be 5 years from now or 10 years from now. The only difference is, will you have a degree or not? Will you have the dream job? Will you have whatever it is that's in your pocket that you've been hiding and not really taking action on? I really commend you that you took action for yourself and now are truly an inspiration for all ages out there in the world, and that you're literally pushing through in a profession not typically known to be one that women have much voice in, and you're giving it voice just with your commitment and your passion and your actions. So thank you for not only sharing what you have on the show, but for being an inspiration to all of us.
Well, thank you, Amy. I really appreciate this opportunity.
Wonderful. Well, in closing, I want to thank our remarkable guest, Sherri Neidenberger out of Washington, all of our listeners, of course, and our producer, the founder of the Divas That Care Network, Candace Gish. In honor of how far women have come, Candace redefines the word diva to mean a courageously self-assured woman. That certainly describes Sherri Neidenberger. The Divas That Care Network is a community of like-minded people, one that offers women of all walks a platform for sharing their voice in the world. We invite you to join us. Visit divasthatcare.com to hear more inspiring stories and add your voice to the conversation. With that, take care, everyone, and we'll see you on the next show.